The Long Game sounded interesting. This was released in 2023. It's directed by Julio Quintana, written by Jennifer C. Stetson, Paco Farias, and Julio Quintana, based on the novel Mustang Miracle by Humberto G. Garcia. And we have a cast including J. Hernandez, Dennis Quaid, Sheikh Marin, Julian Works. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing any of those names. And it sounded really fascinating. It's based on a true story about a group of Mexican-American teenagers in Texas in the 50s, and they weren't allowed to play golf at this country club because it was a white country club, but they decided that they're going to do everything they can to set up a team and actually be allowed to play. And I don't want to say what happens. Obviously, as I said, it's based on a true story, so if you do want to know about what happens, the information is quite readily available online, but I won't spoil it just in case you want to go into this without knowing how things conclude. But the story did sound like it was going to be a really interesting experience. And unfortunately, apart from a few scenes here and there, I found it to be tremendously dull for two reasons. The specifics of the narrative are incredibly boring. And that's not because it's about golf. In fact, some of the more golf-heavy scenes were a little bit more interesting. I'm not into golf at all, but I didn't actually mind those aspects. But everything around about it, I just found to be really, really boring, not engaging. It wasn't entertaining. There were a few moments here and there. And the characters were also very flat. I didn't think they were very well written. I have no idea how accurate they are to the true individuals. But certainly the characters in this film were not well written. The performances were okay, but the characters were so dull. So the narrative wasn't exciting. There were a few times when it was okay, and the characters were just not interesting. I didn't really care about them that much. I did want the best for them, but I wasn't finding myself emotionally invested in the journey. Whereas the concept, at least, sounds like it could have been a really emotional, moving, motivational film. And it just wasn't. It just fell really, really flat. The true story, I haven't read that much about it. I did a tiny bit of reading, but the true story itself does sound really brilliant, and I thoroughly recommend you do a little bit of reading about it if you're interested in it. But as for the film, I don't really know if I recommend it. If perhaps you're really passionate about this topic, if you love golf, if you're really interested in 1950s America and prejudices, then maybe you'll get a little bit more out of it than I did, but I still don't think it's presented as an interesting narrative, and I don't think the characters are interestingly written. So I feel like it could have had so much to offer. It could have been so much more moving as a narrative. But unfortunately, apart from a few scenes here and there, and some decent enough performances, and I guess the other technical aspects, camera work, lighting, music, everything else, fine, no problems there. But the story and the characters were really, really weak. And that's a shame, because the true story does sound really, really fascinating and really, really moving. So I'd say yes, check out the true story, and then maybe give the film a watch if you want to see what they've done with it. I can't account for the accuracy at all. If anybody can, if you know it's accurate or if anything's different, please feel free to share that information. If you don't want to know what happens exactly, I will say avoid the descriptions on Wikipedia and I think also IMDb. The description on IMDb currently is not completely full of spoilers, but the brief plot premise outline on Wikipedia is. But either way, I'd say the true story is worth looking into, unless there's a very specific reason why you want to watch the film. I just don't think it's worth it. It could have been amazing, but it's not very good.